In this video, you're going to learn about an amazing system that is guaranteed to turn your viewers from subscribers to customers to true fans that will adore you forever. And it's called the welcome sequence. So you know already that your objective at a minimum, if you're not selling anything, is to capture leads. See, the thing about creating organic content online is that you are not in control of how a user makes a first impression with you. If you create lots of content like I have, right now someone's watching a dance video of mine and I'm not really dancing that much anymore. Some people are watching a business video. Some people are watching a humble brag on TikTok. Some people are watching a sincere story about my family or my failures. Like, there's so much content you cannot control what is going to resonate with someone and what they're going to see. You don't control that user experience, but you want to, right? Your content, you know that your content at the beginning in all social media is just to grab that attention, but you want to be driving them to capture leads. This you already know, you've already learned. But once you capture the lead, what do? That's what this lesson is about. And the welcome sequence goal is to basically nurture that person who is like, I think I like this person. And I obviously sent him my email for something of value. And this sequence is supposed to turn that person to basically make them fall in love with you. And you're going to do that by telling your story in a way that covers what's called an attractive character. So I'm going to abbreviate this, attractive character. And there's a couple different styles that you can do, but basically, imagine, I think the best scenario is like a superhero. People like Batman, people like Superman, they like Wolverine. Every superhero has its own kind of upcoming story and success, how they got their powers, what trials did they face, their attitude and perspective on things. And what you need to do is basically dig deep into your story and figure out what's the best angle to tell. So for me, I think one of the best in building your attractive character, your welcome sequence, you have to first think about what's the theme of your story. For me, it's the underdog. Because I didn't inherit anything. I failed a lot. I've created success, and I was always the underdog in basically everything I did, from becoming a pro dancer, from being a living room dancer, total underdog, and then from starting my first side hustle and really growing from scratch while working a really low-paying job at a call center. That's my story. It allows me to really relate to people because I know that the people that I attract, because I know my persona, are people who are right now feel like they're the underdog. Now, you may not be an underdog. You might have a way different story. You might be someone who, from day one you are crushing it because you're an overachiever and you excel. You might have a story that when you tell your story, you're someone who is like an experimenter and energetic, and or you might have a sad story that can relate because you've had to deal with loss. You can't copy my story and I can't copy yours, but the point is to craft it in a way where the people who have potentially dealt with something or are feeling those things are really going to gravitate to you more. And so a welcome sequence specifically, once you know your theme for it, it's a 7-day, or you should say week, journey. And throughout the 7 days, you want to basically, and again, that's just through email or text if you want to be having a texting journey, but you're going to be creating an email every single day for 7 days. And this email is basically going to take your story with your theme and piece it together. So by the time they make it to that 7th email, then they're in love with you, they respect you, they trust you, and they're going to watch everything you put out or potentially buy whatever you're selling. So later on in this course, we're actually going to talk about the tool and the technology, how you get this in place in a system. But this video is really just more about the philosophy of everything. So I think, depending on where your journey is, you may be just starting out. So you're kind of writing your story, or you've already had some success. For me, my biggest thing I'm thinking about right now is people will go onto my social media and they'll see massive, what seems unattainable, unrealistic goals, like trying to have $1 million in sales or something like that. And so for me, my story begins, because I'm using the underdog theme, of what it was like at day one. And what I was thinking about, what were my troubles there, what were my concerns, how did I feel, especially when I had an experience where I was dancing professionally, and then I basically got snapped back to reality and couldn't land a job for a while, and finally did. But I navigate basically my story in 7 emails that covers basically the last 10 years, like the highlights. And they're not the longest emails in the world, but I include photos and videos. And every single day I basically am nurturing this person to get them to trust me. And here's the thing, not everyone likes my story. The people that don't, guess what happens? They unsubscribe. And that's great. I don't want people who aren't interested in my story. It's better for all of us if they part ways and I part ways. But for the people that I am sharing my personal details, I'm really transparent about money. So I share, like, I was only making 27 grand and how long, and it took me 2 years to make anything online. Like, people that are in that same boat right now, like that have been struggling or trying and they haven't, like, that hits home so big. So it's really important that you dive into your story and start sharing this. So the exercise from here is to figure out your story, and you want to basically take this as a writing exercise. Like, find a quiet place, put some music on, just like lo-fi beats, lo-fi. I love that sound. It makes me think. And you want to write down basically as much as you can about yourself. It's like you're writing your own book about yourself. And you want to talk about the most the things that got you to where you are today, the pieces, the elements, the things that happened to you, the things that you created. Like, talk about, I talk about failure, and of course success. I talk about my dreams, and then now I talk about how I've been able to attain my dreams. But take this time to basically write as much as you need to. There's no such thing as having too short a content about your own story. And what you want to do after you feel like you've written out your story is, in our next video, we're going to break it down to how you piece it together in a 7-day email sequence. But it's crazy, like, the people that go through my email sequence, and they go through from first day to 7th day, those are the people that become my top fans, who are commenting as minutes when I release a video. These are the people that make it through this series, that are buying my products and buying anything I create. These are the people who are always on my live streams. So this right here is a not so common knowledge process to basically, every subscribers are up here. You capture the lead and they make it through here. And this is how you basically create what we all want. We want those true fans. And that's what this sequence does. So your exercise from today is, so now you have an idea about the philosophy and the concept of creating a week-long, a day, where they get an email every single day telling your story, is to basically write down what that story is for you right now. Pick your theme. What's your theme? What's your superhero theme? And then write down as much as you can about that theme, of the parts of your life that touch where you were in that theme and how you trialed. And the point here is to be as honest. It's supposed to be transparent so you can relate to people. And once you've done that, you can definitely move on to the next part. And then later on in this course, you'll take all that information and then we'll put it specifically in a 7-day email sequence using a software called ConvertKit.